From Bias to Equality podcast is brought to you by the CEO Magazine, Holman Webb Lawyers, and B2Buy.
Hello, and welcome to my podcast, From Bias to Equality. I am your host, Sandra D'Souza. Thank you for joining us. Today, for this very special International Women's Day episode, I am delighted to have a very special guest with us. We are going to have a special conversation with presidential candidate of Iceland, Sigridur Hrund. Sigrid is an Icelandic investor, former chairwoman of the Association of Women Business Leaders and Entrepreneurs in Iceland, and founder and owner of Unravel, a company with emphasis on security material and solutions of the structural industry. She was elected as chair of the Association of Women Entrepreneurs in 2021 for a 2-year term after having served as a board member in the association from 2019. In 2023, Sigrid served the association on the International Committee. She's also a board member of the Association of Women of Higher Education Iceland and is an active member of BPW, Business and Professional Women. Sigrid Hrund announced her intent to run for president in 2024 Icelandic presidential election on 12th of January 2024. The election will take place on 1st of June that year. Hi, Sigrid. Thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast today. And before you start, I just want to let our listeners know that it is very common and respectful practice to name presidents and presidential candidate, and it's absolutely okay to talk to you on first name basis. So I just want to make that clear because it's very important to all of us here, especially as the women presidential candidate, that it is completely okay to address you on first name basis.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. It's a typical Icelandic tradition to call each other on the first name basis. So I'm very grateful for that. And thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Oh, no, it is definitely an honor, Sigrid, to have you. And I'm very excited to, especially in our special International Women's Day episode, and knowing Iceland being pioneers in gender equality. So firstly, I would like to ask you, what drew you to public service and seeking the presidency?
Oh, good question. Well, me standing up and stepping forward is a calling for humanity. So I come for all of us. And I have 3 pillars. So I stand irrevocably for democracy, freedom of speech, and equity. And I realize very, very strongly that I stand on the shoulders of the people that came before me, and they lifted me, up and onwards, both men and women. And I'm talking about my parents, grandparents, grandparents, etc.
Yeah.
I have a different approach. I'm non-political, so I have an open heart, and I have very, very powerful multiplicators. I would name grace, gratitude, hope, and joy, and love. And I believe, because I like creating things, I like making things, I think we should use this opportunity to create the world we want to live in and create it together. So we have to have, well, I'm fearless, so I'm a very good candidate. I would place myself first. But basically, to answer the question, I stand up and step forward because I can. I'm lucky enough to live in a place that allows me to do so. Iceland is one of the most free countries on the planet. I have almost never worked in public service, but service is innate to me. So I work through charities a lot by serving, but work-wise, I've been working in the private sector and since 2010 as an entrepreneur. Yeah. So it is a journey, going and stepping forward. And I would like to mention, because we have to pinch people, and especially women, to stand up and step forward. It's almost impossible to remove yourself from your own company instantly. So I took ample time to prepare myself for this amazing journey. I have prepared it for 2 years. Think about that. Yeah. I invested in myself in 2019 when I volunteered as a board member to FKA. It's the Association of Women Business Leaders in Iceland. And I went on 2 years later volunteering for the chair of that board. And I won that too. And I served for 2 years and I exited last spring. It's because I think that chairing in an association like that, they are independent and very dynamic. So I really wanted to pass the baton. You know, you take your race and then you move on.
Yeah.
I had to prepare, as I said, I had to prepare for 2 years, and I prepared my family, my children. They are all very independent, and they're very good at stating what they need, if they need anything specific, which is very helpful. I prepared myself. I exited my businesses smoothly. I had to invest in myself. You know, I had to have preparations for speaking and, you know, being in front of a lot of people and talking in not your language even. So, and as I'm not political, I had to investigate how people had maneuvered this procedure before. And many times they have been political. And I really didn't want that. And I'm certainly not going to do that now. So I had to think about, contemplate how I wanted to perform this. So it's a very different approach that I'm coming in. And I have to mention as well, the scenario is different because we have social media. So that is easier access for women. I love internet for women. I mean, I'm talking to Australia. We have 12 hours of difference, you know.
Oh, I know. You're talking to me based in Australia, but this podcast has an international audience. You're actually talking to everybody around the world, and that is the beauty of internet and social media, that you can easily talk on an international platform with the work that you're doing. And I do really understand, and this is what I love about women leadership. And I don't say this because I'm not saying I don't like that about male leadership. I'm definitely not saying that. But what I do resonate in a way that what you say, in a way, probably because it resonates with me, and that is that you're going in there with positive energy, and you are about for the people and for the country, and that you're putting the politics aside. You do not have an agenda. You come in from a non-political background, and that you're taking the courage to stand for the people. And you, like you said, you're doing it knowing, yes, you may not have that political background, but you've prepared yourself, your family, your business to make sure that you've can focus when, you know, once you're elected.
Yeah, and even now running, because it's only 4 months of a run, this is very, let's go there. Let's pick up on that and say, you know, it's very easy to, as a woman, to have many roles and too many roles. And it's exhausting, and it puts a lot of demand, excruciating demands. And I really wanted to enjoy running and the fruit of it. And that's why I removed everything else. And I come whole. I come as myself, and inexcusably. And I really have, I think that's the best role model, when you never sacrifice yourself for anything, and you just come as a human being for other human beings, and you have your standards, you know, stick to it and stay strong. So yeah, I come with a bunch of love, heart full of love, and it's gonna be enough. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be enough.
No, no, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So you talk about, I see that as, I guess, the strength that you bring to the table as a candidate. What are and also I guess the love with and your private experience, the non-political experience, so that you focus on the issues. Would you like to is there anything else that you think that you would bring to the table as a candidate?
Sure. I'll be advocating for solidarity
Mm.
because first and foremost, solidarity of women and solidarity for women, but also in general in equity. So we would remove as much as we can the demographic definitions as age and gender and origins. And I'll tell you why. It is because in Iceland, we've had a lot of influx of people. We need hands on the deck.
Yeah.
And we have a strong growing work market. But we've had a surplus of influx. So over a decade or so, Icelanders have grown about 8%, but immigrants about 160%.
Oh,
And
wow.
we
Okay.
have over 20% of the nation which wasn't born here. And
Okay.
yeah, and it's happening very quick. So
Yeah.
this scenario is a bit unique, which means that we are past gender equality. We are on to equity. We're on to,
Yeah.
the parity of humans. So by that, I mean, solidarity means that we really have to choose it. It's not innate. You have to choose solidarity. I'm gonna stick by you. I don't agree with you, but I'm standing by you.
Yeah.
And I have to talk about those three pillars I mentioned, because democracy and freedom of speech, people have died for us, so we would have this right. And it's disrespectful not to protect them. So we have to protect those rights. And in Iceland, at least, we can fight for them and protect them in peace, peacefully. So I say to the people when I'm running, I say, well, I'm standing up for us. Could you please stand up and vote? Could you please come and make up your mind and, take the talk the issues out? And the third pillar is the youngest pillar. It's equity. We're actually just practicing that all over the world. And you know this as well as I am. We have migrational forces all over. We have societal and financial turbulence, and it goes straight to our humanity. So when we get scared, we are diminishing our own light, and we are diminishing the light of others. We're kind of being protective. And we need to loosen up and have faith in what we can do, because the choice is our power, and we are fully capable of making the right choices. So I really emphasize, through everything that I'm talking about is the solidarity, the choice of solidarity, and using love, always with respect. When you react to a difficult situation, use love. Don't
Yeah.
use fear,
Yeah.
because you can choose that one too.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's not easy. We're not talking about easy stuff. We're talking
No.
about hard stuff that we have to rise above, rise above the ego and differences of opinions and everything. But it's truly the way. So
Yeah.
that is going to be my message all through.
And I think it's a beautiful message. It is difficult. You could take the fear and make the country divisive, or you could take the love and try and bring everybody together, isn't it?
Unite everybody. There you
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
let's agree to disagree.
yes, yeah. That is that is
Can I
that
tell
is
you
really,
one thing
yeah, yeah,
in the
sure.
past? Yeah. One thing that is very special about Iceland is that when we originally had Christianity
Yeah,
coming to the country, we already had a Viking religion with many gods.
yeah,
And it was a strong religion at that time. So the solution was, after contemplating, that we would have one law, but we would have many customs. So you were allowed to have your religious beliefs and your customs, but the law was uniting us. And I think we're back to that square because we have a melange of people coming to us, which is very, very good. It is a very fruitful community, but it means that we have laws, but let's please practice diversity and love the customs that we all have.
I love that. And that is, I would love to see that all across the world. And
Oh, yes, let's do. Let's make it a virus.
I know.
Let's make it a love virus. I'll inject everybody.
Yes, I like that. Let's make Iceland lead that.
Sure.
Since this isn't a special episode of International Women's Day, let's I love the passion about uniting people. Tell me about the passion and your work around gender equality.
Oh yeah, I love that question. I'm born and raised under in gender equality. So the gender equality law, they are almost the same age as I am. I'm 50. My parents and grandparents, they were all working. They were all taking care of their children in symbiosis with their work environment, just as I do.
Yeah.
My mom was teaching physical activities in elementary schools. Yeah. When I was young. And do you know that I'm raised in gym classes in Perth?
Really?
Yes. She had no means. Now listen, this is an interesting story. And we learn through stories. So she had no means of daycare or babysitting. Yeah. So she just brought me along. And I'm also fortunate enough to be raised up with my grandparents. So I got the knowledge of that generation too. And I think because we're talking about gender equality, it's very interesting to see how we have shifted from generations living together under the same roof to so-called independence, or maybe the isolation of generations. And we have a bit robbed ourselves from the wisdom of the generational dialogue. I say this because I'm raising young people. I have 3 boys and a girl. And my twins, they're almost 20. Wow. And it's so educational to be raising a young man today. And they're asking me, should I pay the bill? And I'm like, I don't know. Did you invite her for dinner or did you decide to go together? It's your choice, right?
Yeah.
So we always have this choice in every generation. And it's very important to have this dialogue. That's why I'm talking about it. And use it whenever we can. At work, I've been working in the male-dominated environment for over a decade. So that's why I went to the Association of Women. I needed women, female voices. I was working in investments with where the money is and in the construction industry. And it was just all male, a lot of mansplaining and all those dynamics, etc. But not a lot of drama, I can tell you that as well. So it's very, I love it. It's very clean cut.
I hear you. I know what you mean.
So, I have the yin and yang and I love both. I cherish both. I want to tell you what I did in that environment. I spotlighted women because we were rare. We would be like 5-7% of the industry. I made advertisements, with scaffolds, with security material, helmets and everything. And I used young females, young athletic females. And I gave the industry another view about, it's not all males. And we could raise our girls to be there too. And they really like this dynamic as well. When we had advertisements, I would advertise for special days, always stating, equality is a choice and a hammer is a hammer. You know that a hammer is a hammer. It's universal. So let's not, let's not link the gender to work. So I really used the opportunity in that environment to spotlight, to correct corners. In the association, they have almost 1,500 women from all over the country. It's very rapidly growing and condensing. The fastest growing committee is one of New Icelanders, the women of foreign origin.
Wow.
And I really made an effort to make them fly, to open up for inclusion. And I'm not talking about integration. I really do not want you to integrate. I want you to keep your culture, but I want you included, and I want you to shine. And one of the universal issues we have is the language. So when you move to a new country, you always, unless it's English or something very common, you have the language as a barrier. And that is the case here in Iceland, because we talk Icelandic and we are 380,000. So it's, it's just a street.
Yes.
And we also have this thing, women out in the country.
Yeah.
So they have, and this in Australia, they have, biggest challenge is the solitude. So you are alone, and you might have a village where there are maybe 10 women in the prominent positions, and you have very few people to talk to. If you need to air your issues or get mentored, or you know what I mean, you need the connections.
Yeah, it's very
so
hard.
Very hard. But what we did was that we made the association as electronic as we could. So we used internet. We used the internet in a beneficial way, and I love that. So we would also stream. So we would webcast, and you could watch when you were making dinner or walking the dog or whatever. All the podcasts and webcasts and everything, they are so helpful, and they unite us, because I am making sure that you can listen in whenever you can, right? So let's embrace the beauty of what we've got and really use that as a platform. Finally, I have one final point, and that's for the gender, I would say, accelerator. When I invest, this is my money. I'm very protective of my money. I'm not going to die with it. Let's say that too. I'm going to give it away, all of it. I love to angel invest, and I especially angel invest in women. And I'll tell you why. It is because when women are in innovation, and it's a hard path, you have to sacrifice work and pay, and you have a passion. It's a passion that doesn't shut up in your brain or heart or anything, just pushes you forward, and it's excruciating hard. And when you finally go and want to, ask for money, usually the women are too late, because they want to have it perfect. The guys just go ahead and say, I need money, and who can give me money? They just start sniffing around and scratching for it, and they usually get it. So women in Iceland, and this is not unique, they get about 2%. I'm not talking 20, I'm talking 2. Okay, of the funds available in the innovation.
We know, yes. So 2% in Iceland.
Yeah, and universally it's just,
it's 3%. I know. No,
so
I know
it's
about
crazy distorted. And this is not sustainable. So basically, what I do, I hunt them down. I hunt down as an angel, and I make my pick according to my heart. It's not always lucrative. Doesn't matter. It's something that I know it's going to grow or be scalable. And I come in early, and then I push them. I just blow under their wings, and I push them. And you can do this in different way. You can do it with money, especially, so you have salary, and then you can open doors, a lot of calls, and connectivity.
Give them opportunities.
I know, spotlighting and talking about them, go to the radio, whatever. And it's really about that. So I would say, if anything, please, anybody that is listening, if you're still keeping your money in the bank, reconsider. invest in women and directly.
Can I
Absolutely.
then ask you, like, I guess on that note, because I'm so passionate about that, I cannot tell you. And I'm actually doing something called Elect Women, and it's about bringing opportunities to aspiring women leaders, and probably more around the women leaders in board roles, because I do believe that if the more we have women in leadership roles and board roles, the more balanced the world will be, the more peaceful the world will be. So that's another podcast later on. So in that experience and the work that you do there, can you share how with the companies that you've invested, what is the outcome in terms of the success? Because I would like you to share with the audience, the listeners here, especially explain to other investors, angel investment is a very risky thing. We know the general statistics that 1 in 10 generally become unicorn. You may have 4 or 5, you get your return on investment, and then the rest you may fail type of thing. So what's the when you say you seek out these women and you kind of give that sort of encouragement, what's your rate of success in kind of like in very broad brush terms?
100%.
100%. Well, that's good to know.
I absolutely follow my money. I used to work in internal accounting, so
Okay, good.
I follow the trail. I watch my
Excellent.
money. Yeah. But basically, let's go to the start. I don't invest in something that I don't believe in. Okay, so I know what I'm doing. And that is really where I recommend people to be. Okay, so if you're into clothes or if you're into design or whatever, stay there. Pick your spot, pick your niche. And I want to tell you my latest success story. It's when I came in early and I angel invested 3 women. And they wanted to make teaching material for young children about innovation and sprouting. So creativity and innovation. And it went straight to my heart because I've been teaching science for children for 6 years now, 6 to 9-year-old. And I said, we need this material. And as Iceland is on the path of very innovative path, okay? And the government has invested in innovation very heavily. So I said, this is something that we need, and we have to scale this. And we have to scale this, to STEM and STEAM even, take the arts in. A couple of weeks ago, they launched their book. So they have a physical book about creativity and innovation. They are in the television, so the children's television, educating children about innovation and creativity, and they have children hosting. I love that. And then we have a creative spot in Reykjavik that they got coordinated with, and they're going to have camps, innovative camps for children. So it was a combination, of different material. You have a book, you have a television show, and you have these camps. All this is made possible both by the money invested and constantly opening doors. So constantly knocking and saying, Sandra, I know you can open a couple of doors. This is important. Could you please see if it fits? And this is what solidarity is all about. It's really about you should never be a stop sign to anybody. You should be an arrow. So pave the way for that other person, especially for a woman, because that is going to make us, rise above and escalate in sustainability. So this is, you can hear, it's truly my passion.
Yes, I know, I can tell.
It's the love virus. It's the love virus.
No, I love it. And I just seen the time and I thought I better keep asking the questions, otherwise this is going to be a 2-hour podcast.
Yeah, that's great. Let's move on.
Okay, yes. All right. So I just want to ask really this what happened in Iceland last year with that momentous strike in October, with the Women's Day Off strike, which like, again, going back to Iceland, and in the theme of the whole gender equality, knowing that Iceland is still leading, with gender equality, and yet there were still challenges, and you still have that Women's Day Off strike. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that significance of the day, considering Iceland is still far more ahead than the rest of the world, and yet you have this movement on that particular day?
Sure. We have been leading in gender equality according to World Economic Forum for 14 years in a row. But we use October 24th to push hard and press for equality. And we've been using that day for 49 years now. So the first day was in 1975. And according to UN, equality is due in only 300 years, I think. So the issue is a bit pressing.
It is depressing. I know.
It is pressing.
We're still talking about it. We're still trying to saying we need it. We have 51% of the population of women, and yet there's still no equality.
I know. But you might wonder why this particular event is important, and I want to tell you why.
Yes, please.
We're all aware of this universal scenario. Women are more likely to take on unpaid domestic and familial tasks. Most of the time, women hold the third shift, planning everybody else's lives, when to go to the dentist, when to go on holiday, etc., going to the groceries, etc. This is our reality all over the world. And the societal expectations of effortlessly balancing work, family, body, and mind, we all juggle, okay? Let's say this out loud. We all do that. One of the things we have observed as well is the increase in professional women going on sick leave. So due to the creeping stress, and we've seen this in top positions as well, right? And we can't have that. So this year, or last year now, last autumn, we focused on around the globe that women, trans, non-binary individuals, they continue to experience the systemic wage and opportunity discrimination. And then we have race, national origin, and ability compound in this inequality. So it was historical and significant to go against these discriminations. And we got about 100,000 people, mostly women, on site. That's over 1/4 of the nation.
Yeah.
And I know it's amazing. And
we
stood together. I know it's and we got good weather
phenomenal.
as well. I don't know how we did it.
It was meant to be.
I know. But basically what is also different is that we stood together against all gender-based violence. So we stood together for the most vulnerable members of our society, the immigrants, asylum seekers, and it was really pressing that together we would make this change. And on a personal basis, I took my children downtown. My 10-year-old girl, she made her own protest sign stating "Go Equality." Mine stated "One race, the human race."
Excellent.
And it was really about everybody going there and clear the backpack. So realize where we are and saying we cannot talk about this anymore. Now we have to act upon it. And I couldn't demonstrate a better example of solidarity than that day. And I hope you can use our picture and our dynamic. Yes.
That was beautiful.
Let's replicate that.
I would love to see that, actually. I would like to see that as a global strike, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
And just to also show the importance of the unpaid work, the significance that when a woman goes on strike, how that is an impact on everyone, everywhere.
We just walk out.
Yeah.
And we say at 2:00, I have to be somewhere, and they have to cover it. And what was interesting, and this, everybody's going to smile now, I wanted to go swimming on that day, and they were all male servicing the swimming pool, and they said, you have to go back home. And I said, why? Well, because this is your day. And I was so touched. I went to the bakery and I got them a cake, and I said, guys, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. That's solidarity as well.
That's
yeah.
nice. That's
That's
really
nice.
nice. Okay, so we're almost there. I'm just going to finish off because I know that this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. If I could indulge a little bit about the work that I do with Elect Stars. So with Elect Stars, I know outside of the podcast, I've mentioned Elect Stars with what it's about highlighting the companies to have better women representation in leadership and boards. And the criteria, we have very straightforward criteria because we don't want any ambiguity. It is about having at least one CEO or CFO, you get 1 point, one woman board chair, another point, at least 25% of women on boards. The third point and the fourth point is having at least 25% of women in senior leadership team. And if a company scores at least 3 points, they qualify for an Elect Star. And so when a company has an Elect Star, we know they are truly committed to gender equality because they're not just talking about it, they actually have women represented on top. And through our research, why we did this was because we researched through the listed stock exchange, and less than 5% of companies actually have that stats, those 3 or more points on their in their company. So we were quite surprised with that. So I was wondering, in your opinion, with the work that we're doing, do you see Elect Stars for gender equality as an effective tool?
Absolutely. And as we're talking business,
Yes.
participation, yes, different dynamics. Participation needs to be a sell. It cannot only be an encouragement. That is the dynamics of the business. So when we have, as in Iceland, we have official policies, laws, and regulations that bring us to conform and frame it, it makes it all the more easy to implement. When you don't have that, it's a struggle. So the traditional business model is to focus on growth, revenue, dividends, etc. So these focus points are shifting because we're in solidarity dealing with sustainability. And there is no sustainability without women. That is the truth. And we all know this. So the reality is that we need to emphasize solidarity and the proven advantages of diversity and gender equality. So this is really about the sell and to prove it and spotlight when you have a company that can show the benefit, highlight it, go screaming in the streets even. It's
Thank you.
it's
Yes.
really about that. And if you have a bundle of them, team them up because it's really about the ripple effect. And when you have a market leader, that is also very helpful. And we have used that in Iceland as well. We have this same model. We've had it for over a decade, almost 15 years. And we praise them, of course, and cheer them on. But basically, we go to the market leaders. Because when you have a big company going first, all the smaller ones will follow. And when you make structural changes, and think about this, there is a big store that wants to mix up in gender just for the cashiers. And you might have all the cashiers women. And you might have them women because it's very convenient for the hours. Their children are, in school, etc., etc., etc. So when you want to change that, you really have to ask yourself, okay, I want 20% of those women to be middle management. How are we going to do that? And I want, instead of those 20%, I want guys to come in. How are we going to do that? Okay, so very strategically, you have to move people around and you have to have other initiatives and engagement. And you have to ask them. You have to ask themselves, how do you want to go about this?
Yes.
Okay, because
Yeah.
we're talking about people in real lives.
That's right. That's right.
There you
And
go.
and understand, like, because yes, the cashiers offer flexibility in the roles, but management roles can be also offer flexibility, and women who want to be in management roles, like to be in those roles, but need to have that flexibility too.
Sure. And now we have
Yeah.
the internet and we have computers and we can work from home. So we
Yes,
have a
it's
lot of other
doable.
possibilities. I know. I
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm so glad we had this such amazing conversation, and I'm sure the listeners have really enjoyed this interview with you. And I do really appreciate that you've taken the time out of your busy schedule, especially campaigning for the presidency of Iceland, to come and have this podcast interview with me. So I do appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being part of this interview today, Sigrid.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I want to tell you all that use love. Love prevails. It's the strongest force that we have. It's free. It's within us. It's all within us. And it's going to give us peace. Peace in hearts is peace on earth. And that is how we will get through this all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So, for everyone, I just want to take a moment to thank you all for listening and to express my gratitude for following yet another episode of From Bias to Equality. Don't forget that you can get a copy of my Amazon best-selling book, From Bias to Equality, at any good online store. And thank you for tuning in. See you again soon.
Today's episode is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors. Firstly, we're sponsored by B2Buy. B2Buy is your trusted business buying platform that simplifies and automates your buying process, helping you buy smarter and faster, giving you greater visibility and value. With 100,000 products in one place, B2Buy is passionate about connecting diverse suppliers with corporate buyers, so you can create a more inclusive business environment and buy better with www.b2buy.online. Our second sponsor is Holman Webb Lawyers, an award-winning and dynamic full-service Australian law firm with offices in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Adelaide. Not only do Holman Webb offer comprehensive legal services, but they are also a proud recipient of the LX Star, recognizing their commitment to achieving gender equality in leadership. Discover more about their services, initiatives and industry-leading insights at www.holmanwebb.com.au. Lastly, our sponsor, the CEO Magazine, is an iconic, global media brand that inspires and promotes excellence within the business world. It is a source of information, inspiration and motivation for the world's most successful leaders, executives, investors and entrepreneurs. Go to www.thesiomagazine.com.